Alf, we've got some very interesting sports card grading developments. Let's talk about it. What's going on, sports card hobby family? It's another day. It's actually another day that I'm missing prime Drew Brees for my New Orleans Saints. The Saints fall to 4-8 yesterday after they battled the Rams. Frankly, the Rams really, though, from a personnel standpoint, is overall team just better than what we have on our team. We've got some good players. We've got some, there's some good moments in there. Even though the Rams record doesn't reflect it, they're a better overall team than us. And to be honest with you, I'm kind of looking forward to a potential New Orleans Saints top 5 pick. Before I dive into sports card grading news, huge thanks to today's video sponsor, COMC.com. 40+ million cards in the database. Baseball, football, basketball, non-sports. All the goodness over there on COMC. You can grade cards through PSA on COMC. You can also throw cards over to auction. All sorts of different options over there. So make sure to check out my links below. COMC, the place to be. I know what you're thinking. You're looking for a different type of card show. What about a Michael Jordan focused card show coming up next April, late April, so you got time to plan the 23 Air Show in my backyard, Chapel Hill, North Carolina, where Michael Jordan, of course, played college basketball, hit the game winner to beat Georgetown and put Michael Jordan on a skyrocket ship to NBA stardom and, of course, later becoming the GOAT. If you want to exhibit, if you want to attend, you want some more information, reach out to me. My email's in the video description as well as my IG account. Check me out on IG, reach out to me. All right, friends, the numbers from GemRate. Ryan over there has put the numbers out for November. Let's keep in mind, and he makes a good point here. He kind of adds context to the numbers, as he always does, which is helpful. 19 business days in November. So even though, there's 30 days in November, a lot of holiday, a lot of stuff going on in November, so you really only have 19 business days. So when you look at these numbers, yes, PSA is down 13% month over month. They're still up year over year 12%, which I think says a lot, but they graded 1.26 million cards in November. Again, though, less business days, less output. If you give them 22 business days, 21 business days, and of course the numbers are probably very similar to what they have been, which is wild at 1.3, 1.4 million cards per month. CGC up 5%, even though it was a shorter month from a business day standpoint. 218,000 cards. Of course, we know that the majority of these are TCG. TCG is just on fire, and CGC has built out their niche there to where they do a ton of TCG grading. Man, the Pokemons are flying. It's wild. And they're plus 32% overall as far as total cards being graded CGC year over year. So they got to be happy about that. SGC comes in at 129,000 cards, minus 22% month over month. Again, 19 business days, but plus 7% year over year. And Beckett, what in God's green earth has happened to this company? Of course, we got word, a few weeks ago, that the CEO or the owner of Beckett he's got fresh new charges. I think he's already in jail. This is a company that, okay, well, let's talk about the numbers first. So 34,000 cards in total. This is the lowest output I've seen from Beckett maybe ever, looking at GemRate data. Going back, a couple years when Ryan started this, 2-3 years ago. I've never seen it, and I could be wrong here, but I've never seen 34,000 total cards, and it's 32% month over month. But the real telling one here is year over year, minus 43%. And, I look around, I know collectors that have moved off of Beckett slabs over the last 12 months, 24 months. In other words, they've got pretty expensive cards that are in Beckett slabs, and they're either cracking them out and trying to send them to PSA, or they're just selling them straight up, just moving off of them. I know of people, though, that are also trying to take advantage of that trend, meaning that they're looking for BGS 9.5s or BGS 9s because they're seeing, not necessarily to crack them out and send them over to PSA or somewhere else, but because they just feel like, hey, overall people are down on Beckett, and hey, if I can get a great card, if it's a BGS 9.5, historically a BGS 9.5 is a very nice looking card. And there's some other components here too. So I think that's kind of an interesting long-term play. How do you feel about that in particular? Are you looking for bargains in BGS slabs? Because they're out there. If you compare, my God, if you compare PSA 10 for sports cards versus BGS 9.5s, on a lot of cards, man, there is some tremendous bargains. The gap there has widened, and there's probably some really nice cards in BGS 9.5 slabs. So are you on the hunt for BGS 9.5 cards, or are you staying away because you're like, you know what, I don't know what's going on with this brand, and is this company going to go away? Is this a company that's just not going to be there in 5 years, and the cards in those slabs are going to be in trouble? It's a very interesting dilemma, but then I'm also kind of thinking, if you're somebody that cracks cards out anyway, I guess what you could do is you could own the card in a BGS 9 or a BGS 9.5. It's a nice looking card. A BGS 9 is a mint card according to their grading, and then a BGS 9.5 is their gem mint. And so, could you hold it in a BGS slab, and then, hey, if BGS goes by the wayside, if it just, everything goes downhill, then I guess you crack it out at that point, and then you could send it over to PSA and cross it over. I guess I'm kind of curious on people's strategy there, but I know people on both sides of this thing. They want out of BGS slabs. They're just going to be in PSA or SGC or whatever. They just don't want to own any BGS slabs because this company is tanking. And then I also know people that are like, hey, I'll bargain shop on BGS slabs. The other part of this thing that I think that a lot of people would agree with, overall, I like the label. And not only do they have a solid, very high quality slab, in my opinion, they also have subgrades. And that is their big differentiator. It's always been, and I enjoy kind of the gamemanship of, it's got a 9 centering, but it's got 10 corners or whatever. Kind of the gamemanship that comes along with the Beckett subgrades. I think that that's kind of a fun part of the hobby that's really been something that people have gravitated towards, and that is their mark. The thing that distinguishes them from an SGC or a PSA or a CGC is that they've got the subgrades, and I think that is an add to the hobby. I think that whether you're a Beckett card collector or not, you like those slabs, I think there's enough people out there that really do enjoy the subgrades. And I want to see Beckett stay in. I really do. And I know that, a lot of people will talk on Fanatics like, man, they're ruining the hobby. And for me, there's certain things about new product I'm not crazy about that Fanatics is doing. However, I would not be sad if Fanatics, or even, get this, and some people will be like, oh my God, they'll flip out. Again, you got grown men here, they'll throw their TV dinner against the wall and just flop on the ground and cry. I wouldn't be upset with collectors buying BGS. And I know, like, the brain just exploded, but then they own all of grading. I wouldn't mind them having PSA, SGC, and BGS, because I know that Nat Turner would keep that brand there. Again, I know a lot of people going back a couple years, SGC is just going to be PSA of the South. That's going to be Boca Raton PSA. No, it's not. They're going to keep SGC the way that they have been, and they're going to keep it because you want to have long-standing brands in this hobby. Nat Turner's been around. He's a card collector. He understands that. He gets it. With BGS, it would be no different. They're not going to turn BGS into a PSA. They're going to keep BGS the way it is. They're going to make improvements. They're going to fund it properly and keep it afloat and make it a viable grading company again. And yeah, they'll take the profits off of it or whatever. And technically, will they own grading? I guess so. CGC will be out there that will be separate from them. I don't have a problem with it because I'm in the camp of I want to see Beckett not go by the wayside. I don't want to see a huge long-standing brand in our very small niche hobby that does not have very many long-standing brands. I don't want to see it go out of business, bankrupt, whatever, go away. I just don't. I like to see that we have 4 grading companies. These 4 top grading companies, they each have their own value proposition. I know people that grade with all 4 of them, depending on what card it is. So I think that tells you something. When people are actually like, you know what? I'm going to go to CGC for this. I'm going to go to Beckett for that, PSA for this. I feel like that is a fantastic environment for card collectors, hobbyists, speculators. If we have 4 grading companies that each add their own value proposition, that each have strong financial backing, right now Beckett does not, this is kind of that next piece that needs to happen. And I know that Beckett's got a really unique, kind of a strange ownership structure, and that's part of the reason why we haven't probably seen a sale. I hope there's something that happens where they're like, this has been seized or something. Who knows? This company is now up for auction to pay off debts or whatever. The owner has got to pay off debts, or the ownership family's decided, we got to do this to pay off that. Whatever the case may be, I hope that I hear that Beckett's up for auction and that one of these companies does come in and take it over. And again, I'd be totally fine with it being Nat Turner and that group, as opposed to, an outside company that doesn't know anything about the hobby at all, that's just trying to get in and maybe sell it off for parts or whatever. Because we've seen what that happened. Wasn't there a company that bought HGA? Kind of like an outside company that nobody had heard of. They bought HGA, and I haven't heard anything about HGA in months and months and months. I would rather it be Collectors Universe, or now it's just Collectors, buying BGS Beckett and just keeping it going and adding to it and adding tech to it and making sure there's people that are running that proper. And on the flip side of that, I know that, again, I'll be the first to talk about stuff I don't like about Fanatics or Topps. Would be totally fine with Fanatics owning BGS Beckett. And at least I know that the thing is staying afloat. They're going to put capital into it. They're going to invest into it. They're going to market it. And again, people might not agree with me. They might not like that. I'm just not in the camp that's like, yeah, let's have Beckett die off. I'm just not. And maybe it's a nostalgia thing. Obviously, I'm a big nostalgia guy from the 80s, 90s. I bought the Beckett magazines. Dr. Beckett still talks about the hobby, still offers his insights and so forth. Actually, on his podcast is Sports Card Insights. So there you go. That's just not something that I want to see happen. But anyway, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. What is your take on Beckett and grading as a whole? Stay healthy, stay awesome, and I will talk to you again later.